Hi, Joe and Steve here. I'd like to take a little bit closer look at our root dice set.
So we're using bogwoods, and those are trees that have fallen and are quickly either buried or submerged in water. And if everything goes just right, they can be preserved for an incredibly long amount of time. And since they all tend to fall in forests together, they kind of all have their own unique histories and names all to themselves. We're using bog oak, ancient kauri, and sinker cypress for our set. So the root dice set includes 2 standard 6-sided dice made out of a 50,000-year-old wood called ancient kauri. And the 6th face has been replaced with a root dice logo. We're also using a modified fudge dice made out of bog oak. And bog oak has fallen into a swamp at the very end of the last ice age, so it's about 5,000 years old. And the reason we call it a modified fudge dice is they usually have 2 pluses, 2 minuses, and 2 zeros on the faces. And we've put a minus sign in one of our zeros and a plus sign in the other zero. So that means it could be used as kind of a 50-50 coin flip, and that's used to accomplish some of our roles in the set.
Absolutely. We then have our fours die, which is made out of sinker cypress. And sinker cypress actually has been recovered from rivers that were used to ship lumber before the Industrial Revolution. The faces of this die include 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 root dice logos, and they're used primarily for D4 and D8 rolls. We then have our fives die, which is also made out of our sinker cypress, and it's in multiples of 5 starting with 0 to 15. And it's used as more for D20 rolls, but also pairs nicely with for D6s to use as a 20-unit counter. We then have our tens die, which is multiples of 10, 10 to 50, with 1 root dice logo, and it's usually used as a counter to round out the set.
So, we've already found ways to reproduce the most prominent roles in gaming, and we're really excited to see what you guys come up with once we have them in your hands. But let's talk a little bit about how to roll the basics. So here's how you roll a D20. All you have to do is grab one of the standard 6-sided die, and then our fives die. You roll them together, and re-roll any logos that you might see, and then you just add them together. So it's super simple, but let's talk a little bit about the math. Because we're re-rolling any of the logos, we're reducing the possible outcomes of our D6 to 1 through 5, and our fives die to either 0, 5, 10, or 15. So that gives us a 1 in 5 probability and a 1 in 4 probability. Multiply those together, and we have a 1 in 20 probability, which means it's the same thing as rolling an actual D20.
Let's try to do a D8 roll.
Sure.
We're going to take our modified fudge dice and our fours dice. We're going to roll them together. And again, we're going to re-roll any logos that appear. If your modified fudge dice has a plus sign showing, you're going to add 4 to whatever the value of your fours dice has. If not, you're just going to keep the face value of your fours dice. The modified fudge dice has only 2 possible outcomes, and your fours dice only has 4 possible outcomes. So you have a 1 in 2 probability and a 1 in 4 probability. Multiply those together, and you have a 1 in 8 chance to get the number you're looking for. We hope this helps explain how the root dice can be used as a set for the wide variety of roles that will be found in your games.
And if this seems like a lot to remember, don't worry. We're going to have an insert in our package that explains all of the standard roles. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.